As you browse the web, moving from website to website, and even interacting on social media, are you aware that your data is being collected? My guest today is Maxwell Berkel, technology consultant, and we're going to dig into some of these things and help you navigate the web safely. Welcome, Max, again. Thanks for joining me on this topic.
Thanks for having me.
All right. So let's talk. We're browsing the web. We're going through Google or we're going through Safari, depending on what platform you're on. We're moving into Facebook. We're moving into Instagram. We're moving all around. And spot by spot, our data is being collected. Let's start with just simply our browser.
Yeah, so data privacy is it's a very large problem, and it's one that is getting worse to an extent. When it comes to data privacy, you usually you have two categories. You have data that's collected without your knowledge, and then there's data that you volunteer. When it comes to the browser, a lot of times we're referring to data that's collected mainly without our knowledge. It could be browsing history, which websites we go to, when you're in a website, which pages you go to, how long you stay there, all that information. Some of it, a lot of people don't really think about it, but companies collect this information because it's used to be able to identify habits, and then ultimately it's used for serving ads. That's usually the end game here, where
Right.
if folks know where you browse, what you browse for, what time of the day you browse for specific things, then they can serve you more targeted ads,
Right.
which can then lead to better conversion because you're more likely to click to either see the ad or take an action.
And you know quite a bit about this marketing side, because I know you've had some experience with this from a technology standpoint. But what I noticed lately is a lot of the websites that I go to, if you don't accept their cookie, you almost can't browse their website. They lock you out. And I move away from those companies. We're seeing this more and more. Talk to me a little bit about this, and what can we do to prevent ourselves from just having to consume these type of websites.
Yeah, so this is actually a good thing that you're seeing that message. And I don't remember the name of so they started in Europe probably, I want to say 2-3 years ago, where they introduced, can't remember the name, GP something, GR something. But basically it's
GPR
legislation
like
that,
yeah.
yes, it's legislation that requires companies to disclose once you get to the site that they're using cookies.
Right.
And they also have to disclose, if they are collecting information, what they're going to use it for. So that's why you're starting to see these pop-ups and notifications,
Mm-hmm.
because the companies are required to disclose that information. Before they weren't required to, so all of this was happening behind the scenes,
Mm-hmm.
and you didn't have any visibility into it. But now you have a choice, because if you decide not to accept the cookies, then for most sites it means you can't use it.
Right.
So it gives you a choice. So it's a good thing that you see it. Sometimes annoying, but it's a good step forward.
Right. But if I go ahead and I click that, and then I go over to Facebook or to Instagram, let's talk about that traffic. Let's talk about that retargeting that happens. And I've had people say, you know what, I think I'm hacked because everywhere I go, I keep seeing this ad. And then I've had to explain to them that they're really retargeting you. And let's talk a little bit about that, because some people are fearful. I've actually had people feel like, this company is following me. I keep seeing this ad everywhere I go. And so that's part of the data that they collect in the name of marketing.
Yeah, so Google runs the largest ad network online. Well, it's probably between Google and Facebook. But when it comes to just overall internet, though, Google is huge because they outside of just their network, I mean, they own a lot of other smaller companies, and um, once once you visit one site that you get cookied on, you can then get tracked across multiple sites. So that's one way that you know these ad networks can then track to see what sites you're actually visiting. And then that information is used for serving ads. So if you go to a site and for example, you add something to the cart, but you didn't check out, now they know that you're interested in that particular product. So when you browse other sites, now they can keep displaying you ads related to that product, depending on the content that you are viewing.
Right. Now, if I go and I click these cookies, can I undo that? How do I get myself out of this cycle that I've put myself in because I have just taken part of just saying yes, you can track me.
Yeah. So with pretty much almost every browser, you can clear. It usually falls underneath the clear your history section, where you can then select to remove cookies. But it's not just cookies though. There's also another technique called fingerprinting that is used where your device, they attempt to uniquely identify your device, and but underneath that clear your history section, along with the browsing history, you can also clear cookies. You can clear session storage and local storage and those type of things.
That's fantastic.
These are all different mechanisms, part of the browser that is used to either insert a unique piece of information that then can be used to identify you. And so you can clear it. Just remember though that when you clear it, sometimes for a site that you logged into previously, you might need to log in again.
Right. So potentially, I can just clean everything up by just going to that browser and just choosing to just clear all that history from everywhere. And they no longer have my data that they can use, or they can't track me anymore. They've already gotten what they've gotten, but they can't track me across platforms. And so I have a clean slate to be aware now that when I go to these sites, not to get engaged with these cookies because I don't want them to follow me around. Those ads should potentially stop following me around, right? But I do know that Google has been sued many times, more than is on one hand, for data privacy. And I know you and I have gotten into conversations because you're an Apple guy and I'm an Android girl. And you're telling me you need to switch to Apple. It's more private. So let's talk about the difference between these two types of devices.
I guess the crux of the matter is that a lot of people, when they hear Google, they think search. But Google is really an advertising company. That's their bread and butter. That's how they make their money. Excuse me. So Google is incentivized to collect data. The more data they have about you, the better ads they can serve. The better ads they can serve, the better conversion rate. Better conversion rate, the more clients are willing to pay. And that's how the cycle goes. So with Google, most of their products, when they release them, the whole idea is to be able to collect some type of information on you. It could be from Gmail, it could be from Maps, if you use a Chrome browser, for example. And they do provide you tools to configure the level of privacy that you want. So it's not as if they're just collecting all your information. You do have ways to protect yourself. But a lot of folks, they don't realize this, so they just use the tools and give up their information free of charge. Contrast that with Apple, which is they are not motivated by selling ads because that's not how they make their money. They are software, hardware company, so their incentives are different.
Okay, makes sense. So let's peel back a little bit. So when I go on my browser, educate us. What are the things that we don't know? Because we don't know what we don't know, right? What are the things that we can do to configure our browser so that we're not giving up more than we want to?
So a couple of things on the browser, and it depends on which browsers you're using. Some browsers have more of a security focus. Like, for example, the new Safari browser has pretty good security measures in there. When you go to a site, it tells you how many scripts or it's really scripts that are there trying to harvest your information, for example. You can also disable fingerprinting. The same with it's a browser called Brave.
Yes.
They are security-focused browser where if you disable fingerprinting, for example, some of the Google services, you won't be able to use them because they rely on fingerprinting. Chrome also has some security measures there. So again, it comes back to you going in and configuring the browser. Some of the things that you might want to disable would be like third-party cookies, because that's one of the type of cookies that's used to be able to track you across multiple sites. That's probably it. Some of the other things that you might need to know is that, for example, the search engine that you use, Google is, in my experience, the best search engine out there. I use Google, but again, you go in knowing that they're trying to harvest as much information as possible from you. But then again, they have really good search results. But you do have some search engines that are more privacy focused, like DuckDuckGo. That's one of the more popular ones, where the searches that you make, they do try to keep it private, and they don't use that information for ads.
That's what I've been using.
Now
the
in Google, DuckDuckGo is nice. I still use Google. A couple of things that you should know, though. I mean, if you log into your Google account, there is a security section where you can go and you can see every single search that you've made. You can also clear the history. So, I mean, Google does provide you tools to, if you are really concerned about privacy, they do provide you tools to somewhat protect yourself. But at the end of the day, as long as you know that their focus is on collecting data because they serve ads, that's how they make money.
Right.
You need to be able to go in with eyes wide open. So to say.
Right. For sure. Well, we've covered quite a bit today, and I appreciate this talk. I think it's really important that because we're doing this online security series, that we do have this conversation about our browsers and how our data is being collected. So thanks again. I appreciate it. And I look forward to the next topic on this series.
Okay. Thanks for having me.
To learn more about strategies and solutions for business and life management, click the link below to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified of my weekly videos. In the meantime, click this link to keep watching, and I'll see you on my next series. Thank you for watching.